Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Journey to Bliss. I am Miss Bliss, and this is our co host here, Pranu. And as you know, today's topic is going to be about BDSM. But before we get started, I want to run our two commercials, which is shout out to the brother Shaka from Dominican. Shout out to the brother Shaka, ladies and gentlemen. If you want any one of those beautiful t-shirts, his email is there. And the t-shirts, I actually have some of those t-shirts. They are of excellent quality and they're well worth the dollar. So support this brother. This is a black owned business, t-shirt business. So what we want to do is the idea is to support our own and of course my commercial.
When you smile, I'm enchanted. When you kiss me, I can't stand it. I'm in paradise. Your touch is just like satin. Girl, you make my whole life happen. When I look into your eyes.
Woo! Sensual and sexy, mama.
Yeah, that got me. That did something.
Yes, you're drinking a tea, right?
Yes.
I have been getting some wonderful feedback from our brothers and sisters that have been embracing the tea and so many other things with me. So, blessings. So, the topic this morning is BDSM. So we want to break down a little bit about BDSM, sort of like an introductory. And you're going to be so surprised, ladies and gentlemen, because you are already participating in BDSM. You're already doing little things that are play with BDSM. And so your mind is, oh my God, how dare they choose such a topic and how dare they discuss this on YouTube when you're already doing it. But you just don't know that you're doing it because you wasn't educated on that level. So we'll start with the meaning of BDSM and what the letters stand for. So the B stands for bondage. And so we have people who we have interviewed. Some of the letters stand for different things, but I'm going to give you all the definitions that I have received from speaking to many people. So the B is for bondage. The D is for dominant or discipline. The S is for sadism or submission. And the M is for masochism. So bondage, of course, is bonding, tying up, holding down, you're being restricted to a certain extent. The dominant is the person who controls or performs the act. This is the person who makes a decision on how they're going to pursue you in this particular activity. The submissive is the person who's receiving the act, the person who is there to be controlled, the person who is submitting everything and all to you so that you can make your decision on how you want to adjust this whole role playing. So this is all about role play. BDSM is a lot about playing a particular role. And it's misconceived from a lot of people to think that, oh, this has to do with pain. This has to do with torture. This has to do with hurting people. No, we're going to adjust your mind so that you can have more knowledge as to this is really about power, control, release, pleasure, and it activates the brain on the level of the mind emotion level with your thought process, activating certain endorphins within your brain so that you can respond. The only part about BDSM that is considered the pain part or involves some sort of pain is the sadomasochism. The rest of it is a play. The rest of it is role play, mind activity, emotions, feelings, games. Certain endorphins are affected by this. And so it is found that BDSM actually, when there are couples involved, it's a stress release and it's an emotional bonding. So I want to say, Pranu, do you think you've ever participated in BDSM?
Before I started doing this research, I didn't think I had, because I thought of BDSM as only inflicting pain and, wearing these outfits, these black outfits and the whips and everything. But I realized that, yeah, I have done role playing. I like to act, and I like to act in different type of roles.
Hold on. You like to, let me put this full screen on you. You like to act. Hold on. Let me let you put this full screen on so you go ahead and talk. Go ahead. Give it to him.
I like to act. And so, and I have different types of ideas of role playing. I guess I have different fantasies of role playing that I have not played out yet. And I tend to at some point. However, I have had different type of roles that I've done, and they're not always. I mean, they're not like actually even the roles weren't even done in the bedroom. They were just acting and acting as different people, acting as a different I have different African accents that I use, or different things. I have different accents, different people I can be, different, and so I like doing that type of stuff. It helps me get out of a certain idea of who I am, and so I did not know that was part of BDSM.
Now you know it. No, it's half the battle. I want to say shout out to our sister Cynthia, Grand Rising. Look, she's like, this is going to be good. Laugh out loud. Grand Rising, Cynthia, my love. I hope you are well. So yes, we fully intend to have fun with this, because people, as we were interviewing people who participated in BDSM, we began to, like Pranu said, we began to be like, wait a minute. We had these thoughts of, ooh, okay, like, this is unconventional. This is crazy. But I can tell you 99.99% of y'all have already participated in BDSM all the way to beginning from when you were teenagers. We're going to show you that when you were teenagers, you were already participating, but you didn't know it. Because with BDSM, it's levels to this game. It's levels to it. So I told you what BDSM stands for. So it's a sensual experience to a certain extent, right? It's a mind play on the mind, on the intellect, on the psychological thought process. So the sensual is biting. Y'all gonna tell me y'all ain't never bit nobody, or you ain't ever been bitten, even if it's just a nibble, it's still biting. Whether you inflicted any pain or pleasure, oh yeah, and y'all probably liked it. Did you know that scratching, ladies, have you ever scratched anyone on their back? In the act? Spanking, have you ever been spanked, ladies? Whether it's a little tap or maybe it's something a little bit more powerful to make it jiggle a bit. Whipping, of course, everyone discusses that. Wax. Have you ever dripped wax on anyone? I know some of y'all had, because y'all told me. Ice cubes. Do you remember the movie Waiting to Exhale, where the young man went to get ice cubes and put it on her? Yeah. Did you ever think about that? Handcuffs. Oh, those little furry handcuffs, the ones with the fur on it. Then we got ropes, chains, and whips. So people are like, wait a minute, I've never participated in BDSM. Let me tell you, if you ever got a hickey when you was a teenager, that sucking on the neck that leaves that red mark that symbolizes sort of like a bruise. And sometimes when they suck, there's a little hard, it's a little bit of pain. That's a form of BDSM. So ain't nobody innocent in this game. Panu, you done gave hickeys, got hickeys.
Yeah. You basically have told me that I am a sexual dom. Yeah, and I've given them and I've received them, and I did not think nothing of it.
And let me ask you a question. So while you've done some of that, the scratching, the ice, the hickeys, the little intricate things that we've been doing since we were teenagers, it was enjoyable on both sides.
Yeah.
So how can we have this preconceived thought process about BDSM being negative without even exploring or looking further to see exactly what is involved? Even when a woman's walking around the house, she's fully clothed and she may be doing something, you going tap her on the butt. What you think that is? It's play. It is a form of foreplay, right? Yeah. But it's play, but it's also a form of BDSM. And so you have, like I said, levels to it. So you have the lower level, the softer level, the slower level, and then you can ramp it up depending on your partner. Everything ain't for everybody. So it's levels to the game. What we found that in our studies that most women prefer it rather than not prefer it. So that tap, that slap, that smack. Some even use the paddle. Some may even get the belt. And then some may go as far to having the whip, and you have all sorts of other things. So I want to read to you. Oh, shout out to Master Yao, his book here. We have his book, Awakening the Master Feminine. So why would some women prefer BDSM as opposed to not preferring it at all? Now, I want to read to you some of these counterfeit personalities that every single one of us are involved in, but we are not aware of. So the first one is the schizoid personality. The schizoid personality, she believes that males are naturally born with defects of character, and the behavior that results is to blame her negative experiences. Her reaction is anger and hostility. Personality is fragmented. One week she's fully engaged, the next week she's hostile. She restricts her to a partial expression of life. Now that's a schizoid. So she could actually benefit from participating in BDSM on a certain level. Okay. The next personality is the oral personality. So the oral is the woman with an oral personality structure, fears that her mate will abandon her emotionally. Her reaction is an entitlement posture, selfishness. I'm entitled to certain benefits from life, regardless of whether I make a contribution or not. If my mate does not gratify my entitlement needs in the relationship, it is a sign that they intend to abandon me.
And I just want to add, these also apply to men as well. Men, you can see, you can replace the he with her or him. So it's a male can be schizoids as well as a female.
Yes. So if I'm saying her, then you just interchange that with him. So we both have these personalities on both ends for men and women. So the psychopathic, which can be for male or women, the psychopathic believes that they must be in control in a relationship in order to receive the benefit from mating that they desire. Obsessed with control, probably obsessed with power too, to some extent. And they will manipulate their mate and others because they want the power and they want to control. this particular personality absolutely 1000% could benefit from BDSM, and we will explain to you later on what role they would play
Yes.
if they were using it. The fourth one is the masochistic personality. So the masochistic believes that males are incapable, if it's a woman, males are incapable of treating her fairly, passive aggressive as a form of rebellion. The victim, who undermines the agenda of the mate, because her belief that cooperation equals submission. And how dare she submits? She picks partners who tend to be abusive, and when she rebels without reason, then tend to mistreat or abuse her. She can
Go ahead.
From BDSM.
And so the male version of the masochistic is all that, with a little twist on it. So males feel that to cooperate with an intelligent woman is to allow emasculation and admit inferiority. They want a take charge partner, but refuse to allow them to actually take charge of anything. So passive aggressive, undermines, interferes.
And then the last one is the anal personality. She believes, remember, it's interchangeable. It could be a man or a woman, but she believes she can achieve love in a relationship without risking exposure to her true feelings. She believes that companionship, sharing money, space, sex, and material things equals a relationship. She has trust issues. She's fear of taking a risk. She's insecure. She's fearful of rejection, and she remains on surface level. You will never get deep inside of her because she's got a lot of blockages. And so she definitely can use some BDSM. And remember, it's the men and the women also. So it's the same for the men, right? Under that one?
Yes, it's exactly the same for the men. Fear of rejection, remains on the surface, trust issues. So all of these things. So some of us may have more than one, but generally we are dominant in one of those 5 categories of counterfeit personas. And these counterfeit personas were developed in the womb or during early childhood. And so it creates a false idea of who we are. So then we carry this false idea of who we are, and we forget who the real us really is. And so the idea of BDSM is to be able to get out of that, create a new persona, or find your persona. We break out of that persona that you believe to be, because these are what you call limiting beliefs. And so to role play can be a way to get out of a limiting belief. Matter of fact, do the opposite of that limiting belief. So if you believe that you're small, if you believe that you're weak, if you believe that you're, these type of things, hey, let's flip that around. Play the role where now you are strong, you are dominant, you are these things. Or if you have control issues and you always have to be in charge, and you can see that how that has damaged your life, your relationships with your children and things like that. This is a good way to actually say, hey, let me play the role of being a more submissive. And the cool thing about playing a role, it allows you to give yourself permission to be something other than who you think you are.
Exactly. Playing that role is simply acting. You're just simply acting. And we are all acting any damn way. Half of us are already playing a role anyway. And the majority of us are playing a role that we don't even want to play. We're not even being ourselves. Yes. So at this point with BDSM, you can actually play a role that you choose to play. You could be a person who you choose to be. And at that point, that's when the true game begins. So when I say
that's when you realize you're God.
Exactly. Because you're in control of everything. You're the one who's creating this experience. And not only that, when you receive the experience, because remember, there's a receiver and there's a giver, you're also going into like this God or goddess-like experience. from the brain activity, because there's a certain level of brain activity that goes on with this. So you both are experiencing this on a level that you can never even imagine. So there are degrees to the sensations when you're using BDSM, and let's say you're dealing with touch and feeling, and you have this response and you want to get a certain response from the person to activate them on a certain level. So you have the soft, okay? You even have feathers. You have the hard. Y'all can imagine what the hard is. I just want you to let your imagination flow. You have the fast, and you have the slow, right? And this also relates to when you're having intercourse with someone. These are the same things. You have the soft, you have the hard, you have the fast, you have the slow. It's the same thing. And so you also have pressure that could be applied. All of this is the same thing when you're in the bed with the person. Only thing is that these are on the outside of your body experiencing it, and the person is not inside of you, unless mentally you can carry it that way. So a lot of times, I want to speak about women for a minute. A lot of times women in society today meaning 2024, I'm not talking about the 1900s or the 1800s. I'm talking about today, in the now, 2024. So forget about the past. So today we have some women, and I never like to use the word all women, because all women are not like this. And I actually dislike when people say, oh, women this, women that. I don't like that, because all women are not the same. But we have some women and we have some men who may require BDSM. So some women, on the level of, they don't respect male authority. And the reason they may not respect male authority could be, like Pranu said, something to do with what happened with them when they were in the womb of their mother all the way up to their teenage years. Some sort of experience that they had. Women may think that this is something that happened when they started dating in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. No, this all happened, back it on up. That's when it happened. All it is, the way you act and the way you carrying on, is all happens from when you were in your mother's womb all the way up to your teenage years. And so you may have a disrespect for male authorities. You may, there may be an imbalance in the yin yang energy. So you may require someone to dominate you. You may want to be dominated. You may want to be ravished. When's the last time you've been ravished? Shit, when's the last time you heard the word ravished? We don't even hear this word anymore. You may want to be caressed. When's the last time you've been caressed? When's the last time you even heard the word caressed? Okay, so you may also be the type of woman where you want to be with a man who is powerful. And for this, I have to say the majority of the women in the world today truly and genuinely want to be with a man who exudes power. This is why they're so attracted to these individuals who are wealthy or famous or popular. Women are not necessarily, because I've seen some brothers who don't actually look that good, but the women are attracted to them because they're exuding this level of power. And some of them don't even have money. It's the power that the men are presenting. And a lot of women, whether they want to acknowledge it or not, are attracted to powerful men. You want to say something for them?
No, I mean, that's exactly what I was good. You mentioned earlier about things that happen in the womb. And so that reminded me of a time when at an ayahuasca ceremony, this one guy, he was in his 40s, and it came to him why he had problems with his daughter. His daughter basically hated him, and he didn't know why. And it came out in the ceremony that when she was in the womb, he told the mother to get an abortion. And the child heard that in the womb. And so that is created. that girl may not even remember that consciously, but subconsciously she knew that. And so I always had a disdain for him. And that could have carried out to having a disdain for all men, because your father is like the archetype of the man. And so BDSM may be able to help in those type of ways, or some type of healing needs to be done.
Exactly. So at that level, when you're in the womb, I want to say, so anytime when you're in the baby is in the womb, all the way up to the first couple of days that the baby is born and the baby is affected, that level is called schizo. So the baby could be schizo. And when a baby is born and they're schizo, the baby can grow up to have sort of a fragmented personality, hot, cold, off, on, up and down, don't know where they're coming or going. And as they grow up, it can get worse if the situation is not addressed. So the longer word for schizo is schizophrenic. Pay attention. This is what we're doing to our children when they're already in the womb. So it's important to address these things and be conscious and aware of what you're saying, what you're experiencing, and including the fathers, what you're saying to that mother while she's carrying your child, your baby, because when that baby's born, you're going to be like, why they hate me? I didn't do anything but love them. But this could stem from what happened when the baby was in the womb, because the baby could hear the voices and it could feel everything that the mother feels. So you want to be very conscious of that and be very loving and nurturing when that woman is pregnant with that baby. This includes if the grandmother and the grandparents and the sister and the brother, all of that affects that baby. So you want to try to raise a healthy individual, and you want to have a healthy family, whether you plan on being with that woman or not. The bottom line and the goal is to make sure that you have a healthy child, because I'm going to be honest, we got some effed up MFers out here today that look like us. They're messed up on so many different levels that they're malfunctioning, dysfunctioning, and it's just nothing but chaos and mayhem within our community, because when they were children, they were messed up. And I'm talking about both men and women. Yes. I'm not just talking about one side. I'm talking about both sides. We all need to hold ourselves accountable with healing and going on our healing journey so that we could be better. So I want to say that some women may need to play the submissive role, right? So in this instance, the men need to kind of be the police. They need to be the protector, right? They need to, it's extremely, I can't express the importance of making a woman during BDSM, making sure she is safe. This is highly, highly important. Making sure that you are a trustworthy individual, that she can trust you, that you provide some sort of structure, and most of all, that you're patient with her. These are rules to the game. No woman wants to be tied up and then abused. There's levels to this where you have to sort of know what she's willing to tolerate and what she can take. So you have to have an understanding in regarding to the type of woman, hence the type of counterfeit personality that you're dealing with, because she may not need to be dominated. Maybe you need to be dominated. So it's extremely important to analyze your partner or whoever you're working with to know levels to this and how you need to approach it. Never go past anyone's limits. Never make anyone feel uncomfortable. Never, ever, ever. The goal is to reach the pleasure center and the pain center, which are in the brain. Located in your brain, you have the pleasure center and the pain center, which are close to each other. And some people can't tell the difference. So the pleasure and the pain center are located in the brain. And so this is why you hear the phrase pain leads to pleasure and pleasure is pain, because these two are interconnected. And so your responsibility is to activate that on a mental level for the person who you're dominating, but also on your mental level. Like, how is it affecting you if you're the person in charge, right? So I want to talk about the part about bondage. So we know bondage is tying up with the ropes, the handcuffs, right? At that point, when you're under bondage, there's no turning back, right? So there's a sense of freedom is gone, right? Because you're in bondage, right? Or freedom is here because I can release, and I'm not responsible for anything that comes out. So it depends on how you look at it. Either your freedom is gone or your freedom is here. Nonetheless, chaos will be released or may be released, and that brain overload with multiple sensations going on, multiple reactions. And this is real good for women who think too much. They all up here, 50 million things. Oh, I got to go to work. I got to pay the bills. Oh, I'm arguing with this person. Oh, the children this and I want to go on vacation. And what dress am I going to wear? How am I going to do my hair? I can't do that. I want to go all up in the head. And when you got her tied up and you breaking her down sensually, she has no result, no point but to respond to you physically, emotionally, sensually, and her mind goes into, oh, what's going on here? And the feelings begin. And so at that point, the game begins. So it's the one who makes the decisions. The dominant is the one who makes the decisions. So if you're the dominant, you're the one in charge of the brain play. You're the one in charge of the power play, the power exchange. You have the ability to affect this person and yourself. It's your responsibility to find a way to stimulate them. And so, of course, prior to you doing this, you got to know your partner. You got to know their counterfeit personality. You got to know what you're working with. You have to know the threshold to where you can take this. So you want to say anything, Pernell? Because I know you've been doing, you got one of the books.
So when you were talking, I was just thinking about, as a dominant, how you have to have a plan. And that's one of the, in Awakening the Master Masculine, there's these different archetypes of man. The proper or developed man. And one of them is the ego. That's the one who has the plan, the man with the plan, who's able to plan things out, evaluate if the plan is working, make adjustments, communicate what the plan is to people so everyone is on the same page. So as a dominant, as the dominant male, you have to activate that ego archetype within you. And I can see how there are different archetypes. There's the ego, which is planning, executing. There's the hunter, which is provider. And there's actually a dom that deals with providing. There's a specific type of dom that deals with providing. The hunter, the warrior, the protector. And then there's a healer. So those are the archetypes of man, and I can see how in different aspects of this sex play, this role playing, different types of scenarios activate certain different types of archetypes. And I can see that being also true for the woman, because the woman has the moon, the treasure chest, the elegant rose.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hold on, I got them in here. Hold on, they on the So you got the moon, and the moon is nurturing, caring, generous, submissive. You have the seated hawk, synergy, imposing, intuitive, right brain thinking. You have the elegant rose, joyous, beautiful, sensual, artistic, carefree, and arousing. You have the treasure chest, unifying, prosperous, social, earthy, and matriarchal. So you could see these roles being played out in the women. But these particular roles are what level, Pernell? Come on now.
But you know what? Some of them are dominant and some of them are subs in there. You can see,
yes.
You can see them both. So you can see how a woman can be both dominant and sub, and vice versa. And even in the male archetypes, there could be a dominant or a sub within those as well.
Yes. Absolutely. And so since you're mentioning men, I want to talk a little bit about men also, So men, so this is role play. So yes, men can play the other role. And yeah, they can get whipped, they can get paddled, they can get slapped to a certain extent, depending on what they're willing to endure. So there are some men that I know that work in the Wall Street atmosphere where these men are corporate executives. They're in charge of a lot of people. They're in control of a lot of money. They're managing multi-million dollar assets, portfolios, and businesses. So some of these men they want to release from being in power, because when you are in power, this means you're in control of a lot of things and a lot of people. And if you make the wrong decision, then you're going to be the one that's going to be blamed. You're going to be the one that's under fire. You're going to be the one that's going to be analyzed, criticized, and looked at. So sometimes these men want to give up the power and they want to submit. So again, it's an imbalance between the yin and yang energy.
Yeah, so they have too much fire and it is destroying you. You have too much fire and there's nothing to cool you down.
Yep.
You need like an engine. An engine has to have coolant run through it. If you're just running hot, the engine is going to freeze up eventually. Yeah, so these men need an opportunity to cool down, but they can't cool down at their job because they have to be in that role.
Yep.
So they have to find another place to be in the other role that's safe for them to do that.
Yep. Yep. So you know the old saying, too much of one thing can't be too good for you. So they need a balance between that yin and that yang, that masculine and that feminine, because we all have the masculine and the feminine within us. So you want to be balanced. So some men can become sort of control freaks, and then that ego that Pernue was talking about, that ego becomes too big, too powerful, and then you have what someone turns from an ego into a narcissist. Go back and look at the narcissist video and the ego video, and you have a better idea as to what I'm talking about, how these type of people can become this way. And it's not just men. You have women that are executives too, that are also in charge of all this power, that may step back and come into the background and participate in BDSM so they can release some of that too, because their egos can get big too. And then they can take it out when they go home on the children. Okay, so then you have these narcissistic, egotistical parents, either one, whichever one is playing a role, coming home, and the children's like, what in the world is going on? And they have no idea, because they're just children, that this is coming from the job. And so how are they going to release? They need to release this, and they need to have an ego check so that they can become more balanced. So I want to speak a little bit about society today and how it affects men. And in particular, we can talk about Black men, because that's what we mostly deal with. We may be dealing with other cultures, but the majority of us are around Black men. So society overall suppresses masculinity. It reduces a lot of men's power. And some of these men, they may feel worthless. And a lot of this, again, could extend back to their parents, saying they're useless, they don't know why they had them, or maybe in the womb where they didn't want them to be born. So I want, Pernue, because you're a man, I'm not a man, so maybe you could speak about society today and how it's affecting men.
Well, there's several different scenarios that produce situations where men or young boys are damaged. So you can see how this is a vicious cycle. So for instance, if a mother has been sexually abused, particularly by men, then she can develop a negative attitude towards manhood. And so in her children, in her male children, she will try to stamp out, consciously or unconsciously, a certain level of masculinity out of them, because in her mind, the male is evil. And so she may infantilize them or neuter them or somehow make them into some type of unit. And so those men in those type of situations, they're not comfortable with power because they've been taught to be a nice person. They've been taught to be a good boy, or they've been taught to please mommy. And so now they don't know how to put their foot down. And you have that in the larger society. In the larger society, it's well known that if a black man raises his voice, that can be seen as a threat automatically. Whereas a woman can raise her voice, she's not seen as a threat. And so oftentimes in certain situations, the woman will be like, let me take care of this. Let me talk to the white man about this situation because I can get better results than you, black man. That is an emasculate, although that might be true in certain situations, that is still an emasculating type of thing. And basically the system was created to do that in the first place. You know, all the way back to slavery, you know, where the woman could get certain favors from the master that the man could not get. So the woman would have to beg the master on the black man's behalf, as opposed to the black man doing things based off of his own power. So that same dynamic has been going on even to this day. And now with a lot of these ideologies that are out here, there's this increased blaming of black men for the white patriarchy.
Wait a minute, repeat that.
There's a blaming of black men for the white patriarchy.
The blaming of, how does that, okay, you got to break that down because I'm not sure I get that.
So it's like, okay, the patriarchy, when they say the patriarchy, they include black men in the patriarchy, when really the patriarchy, the way patriarchies always have worked is that one group of men, they oppress another group of men. And then they raise up those women and give them certain benefits in the system. And so when people say, well, all men have a benefit in the system, that's not always entirely true, because the system is designed to benefit a certain group of men over other men. And so once those men have been oppressed, then the women are fair game. The women are open to be exploited.
So you're saying in the patriarchy, there is this assumption, there's this overall assumption that all men are benefiting from it, when that's not the fact. That's not the actuality.
Exactly. And America is not the first place to do this. They did that in the Roman Empire as well. You know, when they went and conquered different places, and when they conquered Britain, they rose the women over the men. And so to create a certain disorder in the society, and to disempower them, because once the men have been disempowered and the men have been emasculated, then you'll have no more problems from that group anymore, because it's the men that revolt. It's the men that conduct the revolutions. As far as on the physical side, the woman can support the man doing the revolution. The woman can be like, give the man the support, give the man the encouragement and things like that. But it's the man that actually goes out there and carries it out, puts his life on the line, that type of thing. But if a man is out of his power, he's not going to do that. And he's going to hide behind a woman's skirt.
Ooh. Oh man, that's very interesting. That is a very, I never looked at it from that perspective. So yeah, thank you. I mean, I never had the idea that all men were, receiving a benefit from this patriarchal world, because I know the black man suffers to a certain extent more than the average man. But this whole dynamic is a power play, right? So I want to show you a photo. And I want you to tell me what comes to mind when you see this photo. When you see this photo, what do you think about? Because the photo can tell you a lot of things. You can get a lot of ideas. A lot of thoughts can cross your mind. Some of those thoughts could be bad thoughts, negative thoughts. Some of those thoughts could be positive thoughts, the wonderful thoughts. Some of those thoughts could be sexual thoughts. Some of those thoughts could be disgusting, like, oh my God, this is appalling. Who would do such a thing? And some of those thoughts could be intriguing and curious and what's going on here, and would I like to be the person standing up, or would I like to be the person crouching down? And what comes to mind when you see this photo? What do you think about it?
Also for me,
Yeah.
I was thinking two different things. So yeah, as the man in the dominant position, I think that I would derive pleasure. You could derive pleasure. I was wondering, did the woman volunteer to do that? Did he ask her to do that? Did he just walk in the house and she do that because she was trained? So what is the nuance of this power dynamic? Did he give her a command? And as a dom, how would that feel to give a command to do that versus how would it feel to just walk in the door and it happen? How would it feel to have trained someone to do that? So all these are, I guess, different ideas that are going through my mind when I see this.
Right. Cynthia said there's a play of power here. There's a play of power. Do you see an exchange of power or a play of power here?
There's an exchange.
So what's the power?
There's an exchange of power because she is giving him power. Yeah.
Is she? Or is she receiving power?
They're both. Actually, you're right.
Because it depends on how you look at it, right?
There is an exchange in power. You're right. There's an exchange.
Yeah.
She's receiving something and he's receiving something.
Yes, absolutely. It's funny because she's not clothed. She doesn't have any clothing on. Look, Cynthia said an exchange of power. Yes. There's a power transfer. And so can men utilize this power transfer, this power exchange in a good way? So you see, there's a concern also when you're dealing with BDSM, when there's an exchange of power. Do men know how to truly utilize a woman who's willing to be submissive? Or better yet, how about a woman who's willing to surrender? Because there's a difference between a woman who is submissive and a woman who is willing to surrender. So if a man is receiving this type of power, does he know how to handle this?
Will he let it get to his head, like or does he actually know how to use this power? Actually, there's in the movie Coming to America.
Yes.
Where when Eddie Murphy is presented with a woman who was chosen and bred to be his wife, he had this power, but what was the first thing he had her do? He had her like jumping around and doing things like that, doing those type of things. And what came to my mind is the privilege you can have to have that power, the great things you can create with that type of power, or you can just waste the power on, I guess, not building anything and just satisfying your ego. Yeah. So it's like, yeah. So what do you do with that power as a leader, as a king? There's a responsibility in how you use that power. I mean, it's a gift. It's a gift from the creator. It's a gift from that woman. And so,
look, she said, "Great. That's a great example, Pranu. Thank you. Great example."
And I think that oftentimes we don't know how to use power properly because we don't have an idea of what to build. We're not trying to build pyramids. We're not trying to build a system.
Nope.
We're not trying to build anything. All we're trying to do is build our egos of, look who I done bagged. Look who I done knocked her down. I done did these things. But it's like, oh yeah, you knocked her down. You done blew her mind.
Hold on, you gotta repeat that, Purdue. You gotta repeat that. Who out of bag? Go ahead, play on that ego.
You have to, yeah. So people, they receive that power and they think that somehow they are quote unquote God's gift to women, when really they've been given a gift and they've been given a responsibility. They've been given a responsibility to build something with that. You know, but they don't build anything but their ego. The ego that I'm this, I'm that, I'm this. But it's like, okay, what have you built with that? What have you done for your community? What have you done for your children? What have you done for your family with that power? And so men need to understand how to utilize that power. And then I would say women need to understand and be careful who they give that power to. Because you're empowering, you could likely be empowering someone who is really not worthy of receiving it.
So they said there's a lot of responsibility that comes with power. Not everyone can handle that. And so you have this weird dynamic going on today where there's a small amount of men receiving power from women. And they're taking advantage of that power. They're manipulating that power, and they're not using that power to build or create a legacy, nor to cause some type of community amongst us as a family. Look at this. She's like 100. There you go. Yeah, this is a great topic. So we all think, oh, I'm not participating in BDSM. You are participating in this game on some level where you like to admit it and not. BDSM, like I said, if you putting ice on that body, if you putting hickeys on that body to the point where you suck and you see a red mark similar to a bruise, or even to you suck with a little bit of pain, if you slapping that booty every now and then, all this is a form of BDSM. It's a power play. And if you have a woman kneeling down at you like that, even if she's fully clothed, the fact that she's kneeling down is a power play. And a lot of men are not ready to receive that type of power because your brain has turned into something that it's dysfunctional, where you're thinking it's the ego. And remember, you go back and look at the video, we discussed ego. And then when you get these big egos, they turn into narcissists. And so it's about, I have all this control. You have all this control, but you don't even know what to do with it.
Yeah, I'm that nigga. You know, you know, we tell ourselves all these type of things, but what is the measure of manhood? What is the measure of a leader? And so as men, we have to ask ourselves that, and women have to ask themselves that as well before they submit or surrender to a man.
Yes, before they submit or surrender. And remember, we're all playing a role.
Yes.
In our lives and in other people's lives. And then when you're doing BDSM, it's a role. Everything is a role. Everything is an act. You know, so you could choose your role. You could choose your act. Because even in the role of power, there's a sense of submission. Because you have to surrender your ego to think about the greater good in relationship and community building.
Exactly.
And that's what a lot of people are not willing to do. Submit that ego. Woo! There you go. Submit it because the ego makes them feel like they're powerful, that they're in control. So a lot of people, they don't even know how to use the ego. You know.
And on the other sense, there are some people who do not even know how to receive that power because they're not used to receiving that power. So like, whoa, they might not think they deserve that power, or they might feel weird getting that power because they haven't been trained. So you get both extremes. Some people feel like I deserve that power, you know.
Yep.
And I've done nothing with it.
Yeah.
Other people might feel like they're shining away, like I'm afraid to have that power. I don't know, you know, do I actually deserve that power? And so you have these. So there's a lot of healing that needs to be going on, and women. I'm going to tell the sisters, You have the power.
Yep.
That woman kneeling down is empowering that man. Women create powerful men.
Mm-hmm.
So you think you're choosing a powerful man, you're creating a powerful man.
That woman kneeling down, yep. To some extent, there's some power play right there.
Yes.
There is some, and there's also power play in the fact that he is fully clothed. Look at him. His shoes is on, y'all. He got on the shirt and the jacket, and he's fully clothed. And she don't have no shoes on, no nothing, no jewelry on, nothing. That is a resemblance of power also.
Yeah, to me it's saying, I don't have to give you anything. I don't have to reveal anything. But you have to reveal everything to me. But let me look at that. So it's definitely a power. It's a form of power. It's a form of authority. It's a form of who answers to who.
Exactly.
She answers to him. He does not answer to her. And that's what that picture symbolizes to me.
Yeah. So Cynthia, there's absolutely has to be a balance of the masculine and feminine. I can say this 1,000 times. We have in our community, there's an imbalance to the point where there appears to be some type of sickness.
Yes. And
it's unfortunate because when you try to discuss this sickness amongst our people, they don't see it. They think they're perfectly, absolutely fine. That it's okay to belittle each other, to degrade each other, and then to transfer this energy onto our children and let our children see us carry on this way. Encourage our children to even act this way. It's a sickness when you don't even see what you're doing, how you're hurting yourself and you're hurting your community around you, you're hurting your family, and you're hurting your children.
Yeah, I see that folding of the arms. That is a serious power play right there.
Oh, wait, hold on. I didn't even catch that. Hold on.
So that's something that men and women do. Yeah, that's a serious power play.
Folding of the arm. That's body language. That's the body language.
Yes. It's like, yeah, what can you do for me? Or you have to answer to me. Mm-hmm. You have to explain yourself to me.
Speaking of his arms, look at where her arms are at.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think about her arms and where her arms are located as opposed to where his arms are located? Like it's almost as if she's pleading or she's agreeing. And I don't know if it's begging, but she's letting him know you're in full control. And
she's open. The arms are open. So it's
open to receive.
She's open to receive. She's open. She's vulnerable. It's a vulnerable. This is a vulnerable move right here. This is vulnerable. But
BDSM is all about vulnerability, no?
Yeah. So it's very So that's
Who's gonna be vulnerable in this game?
Yeah. Wow.
Who's willing to be vulnerable in this game? So if you have a woman in BDSM, if you have a woman who's going to be the dominant, right? So if you have a woman, let's say in her life, she's always been abused, verbally abused, physically abused, and her ego is beaten down to the point where it's almost like she doesn't have an ego. She doesn't believe in herself. No one won't listen to her. People are making fun of her. If she's the dominant, what do you think that's going to do with building up her self-esteem? And even if it's a man whose family parents have beat him down and, telling whether it's the man or woman, you ain't nobody, you never going to be nobody, you ain't worth nothing, I should never had you. And then they grow up and it's the same thing. They become very shy, very closed off, sort of an introvert. They don't want to express themselves. And if this person is suddenly the dominant and they're in control, you would see sort of the posture change. you would see them begin to exude a
Yeah.
level of confidence, right? Because
Exactly.
now they're receiving power. So
Mm.
you see how, whether it's a man or a woman who's the dominant, if this, they would, in the beginning, they're going to struggle. They're going to say, well, no, I don't know if I want to be in control. And I'm not sure that if I'm in control, I know what I'm doing, because you've been
Yeah.
hearing that all your life
Yeah.
from, in the womb. Maybe the parents is like, I don't want the baby. So you feel like they don't want you to be in control. Maybe when you were a teenager, they were telling you you were useless, you were worthless, you was incompetent, you were no good, you didn't make the right decisions. So now here you are, supposed to be the dominant, and you figure, well, I don't know what to do. I don't think I could take control of this, and do I really deserve this? And I don't know what decisions to make. They become indecisive, but eventually, when they start to take more and more control, they start to build confidence, and they begin to say, you know what, I know what to do. And this is a mind play now, because
Yes.
this is pleasing within the intellect of your mind, your thought process. So this is a way of healing, also giving them this type of control. You see?
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, but then you also have the child who, when they were growing up, they got everything that they wanted. They got away with all this bullshit. And, they probably deserved a good spanking, but they never got it because they knew how to play the game and they were manipulative. And then maybe they grew up to be the player. And they think, oh, I've learned to master this game. I can get whatever I want, do whatever I want to do. Hey, big ego, narcissist, taking advantage of people, both men and women, depending on who that person is. Now, if they are the submissive one, the person who's not in control, what's going on is that you're taming that ego. And so people who have large egos tend to think that they know everything, they're in control of everything, they don't need assistance, they don't need guidance. And when you think you know everything, as opposed to you always thinking that you're a student and you're always willing to learn, you're always open to receiving additional information. But if your ego is so big and you a know-it-all, then maybe you need to be the submissive. Maybe you need to be the one to give up some of that control so that you could have some type of balance in your life. Because there's a reason why you may not be attracting what you need to attract. Right?
Yeah.
So it depends on the person and where they're at in life. But nonetheless, it's all role playing. Even when you get down to when a BDSM is also when a woman is going to bed with you and she wearing costumes. You don't think that's BDSM? Like I said, we're not connecting the dots here. When you watch these rapper videos and you see that beautiful woman with those glasses on, and she's the teacher, but she looks very sexy, but she's fully covered, and you're like, wait a minute. She's a teacher. I got to respect her. But wait a minute. I'm turned on with her. But no, wait a minute. This is inappropriate. But God damn it. I think I like my teacher. It's all role play. And so when you go to church and you see that preacher and he exudes this power and he's preaching to you and he's projecting all this energy and he's dressed sharp and his body language, he's charismatic. You're attracted to that. You're like, but no, this is the preacher. I can't think like that. Oh, but it's the preacher and he's sexy, but it's the preacher and we can't put boundaries. And so all this confusion is going on and all this energy is exchanging and you don't know what to do. And you see, like I said, in the rapper videos, you see these roles playing out and we don't know that it's BDSM on a certain level because BDSM is levels to the game. It's levels to the game. You never thought about that. That's role playing. Hugh Hefner. Everybody knows who Hugh Hefner was, right? He had the mansion, the Playboy Mansion. What costume were those women wearing at the Playboy Mansion?
So they're wearing those bunny costumes, those BDSM bunny.
The bunny, exactly. And I want to show you this man here that we have a photo of. Is he not wearing sort of like a Hugh Hefner outfit?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This we're talking about stuff that's going way, way, way back. That's been in our faces all our lives that we are afraid and fearful to address. The whole time, Hugh Hefner was presenting BDSM in front of your face. You liked it. You bought the Playboy magazine and you enjoyed it, but you never even thought that this had anything to do with BDSM. This is role play. A woman or man wearing a costume is role play. Even Halloween is role play. A masquerade, you're hiding behind a mask, right? You could be playing a role at the masquerade too. All of this is already out here for y'all. But because we have all these blockages, we don't see it. We can't embrace it. So role play, you're acting, you're presenting a feeling, you're having a certain energy, there's a power play. And in real life, there's a difference. So for men, I want to say, men who are out here, oh, I want a submissive woman. I want a woman who submit. And the question is, do you need a woman who's submissive, or do you need a woman who's surrendering? And so
talk about the difference.
Huh?
You talk about the difference between those two.
Yeah. So the thing is that, you have a lot of women saying, a lot of men saying, I want a woman who's submissive, right? Have you heard any men say, I want a woman who surrenders? No.
I've said that.
Most men don't know the difference between a woman who's surrendering and a woman who's submissive. They're going off of what they see social media speak about. I want a woman who submits. And then when the woman submits, but then she bounces when shit hits the fan, right?
Yes.
So let's say, for example, you have this man who is a multi-millionaire, right? He's like, I want a woman who's submissive. He gets her. You let him lose that money. She gone because she was only there to submit, right? So the submissive woman, she'll agree and she'll follow as long as you can take care of her, okay? She will give you her power to a certain extent. But if you mess up, she's gone to the next one. She's submitting to the next one. She's not ride or die. And a submissive woman can actually distract you from your purpose. So men who are on their purpose, who know their calling, who's focused on building a legacy and building an empire and desires a woman who is submissive, she could distract you. She become argumentative. She could become jealous. She may start creating chaos over little petty shit. And this is because she doesn't know herself. And if you know yourself and you focusing on your godlike energy, you focusing on your purpose, you know who you are, you know what you're here to do, you know what you building, you know what you're creating. And this submissive woman that you think that you need is doing nothing but distracting you.
You're right. Yes.
She's distracting you. But you think you need a submissive woman. And so y'all get these submissive women, and guess what? It ain't working out. Because
it massages the ego to say you have a submissive woman, but a surrendering woman, that goes down to the heart. That's a heart connection right there.
Exactly. So let me tell you about a woman who surrenders. A woman who surrenders is down for the cause. She will support your purpose. She is ride or die. She feels safe to surrender to you. She knows that you're going to handle your business. She uses her power to build you up. But you have to have a plan. You have to know your purpose because she knows her position. And a surrendering woman will stay in her lane.
So she's surrendering to your purpose, to a man's purpose.
Yes. A surrendering woman will be like, okay, you don't got it. I'm here to build it. What's your plan? What is your plan? I support you. I got you. What do you need me to do? I'm surrendering my power to you to help you build. It won't be no chaos when you come home, because I'm going to make sure that this household is peaceful for you to have a peaceful mind so that you can continue to build and connect and create your purpose. within your creativity. A submissive woman was like, I don't need to do all of that shit. Where's my money? I need my hair done, my nails done. I'm here to submit. Okay. Submission to her could just mean just opening up her legs so that you have some cootie cat when you get home. And if that's what you want, then that's perfectly fine. If all you want is cootie cat when you get home, then go ahead and you go right ahead and do that. But if you're looking for a woman who is willing to work with you and build with you and connect with you and support you and make sure that your ideas are invested through her, yes, then you're looking for a woman who's willing to surrender to the cause. I'm going to give you an example of a woman who's a surrendering woman. Malcolm X had a surrendering woman. And he didn't need, and it's another thing I want to mention. These men out here that think they need 2, 3, 4, 5 wives. Why would you need 2, 3, 4, 5 wives if you can't even handle the one that you already got? You need to connect and build a power play with the one that you got. And then if you're going to take in another woman, she needs to go out and find the second wife, not you. Because you're going to cause those women to go into that household. It's going to be chaos and mayhem. Look, made me think of the pimp and the prostitute dynamic. I'm gonna leave that to you, Pernue. Go ahead. If you
I'm wondering what she's thinking about when she's saying that the pimp and prostitute. I mean that whole BDSM is that's a role right there. That's a whole power play right there between a pimp and a prostitute. But I can't speak on that.
I could. So let's dive into it. So you got the prostitutes, right? Yeah. You have one man who's powerful. Is he not? Yeah. He would have to be powerful to some extent to be able to attract multiple women to want to go and sell their body for him to make a living, because they can break off and do their own little prostitution business. Could they not? Exactly. They're the one with the asset, which is the vagina, right? But
he has a plan. He has the plan.
He has the plan. He has the power play. You see? He has the plan. He has the power play. So there you go.
He has the dream. He has the dream.
Like the queen's true position on the chessboard, watching the battlefield from the attack window. See, there you go. There you go.
So the pimp has a dream that he's selling.
All pimps are selling something. Yeah. All of them. But then, like you said, you got the queen, right? Mm-hmm. And when you have a woman who is a true queen, she rocking with you.
Yeah.
Right? And Malcolm X, I can tell you right now, he never had no problem with his woman. Do you ever hear any problem with Malcolm X with his woman? No, he had a problem with society and all the people on the outside. But when he came home, well, all those children, you can imagine, the more children you have, children are not easy, right?
Yeah.
It can be all types of stuff going on with children running through the house, touching things. When he came home, part of her responsibility was to make sure that Malcolm X had peace of mind, because he knew his purpose. Now, if you coming home and you building your purpose, you building your legacy, you got to come home to a woman that doesn't know herself or know her worth or her value. And as soon as you get through the door, arguments, jealousy, envy, chaos. How comfortable are you going to be? How much rest are you going to get when you got to go out tomorrow and continue to build your legacy?
Exactly.
She's going to distract you. That's all she's going to do, is just distract you from your purpose. So we have to be careful of who we're choosing to have relationships with, who we're choosing to be with. We have to consider all these things, because this is extremely important, because we're coming into a time where people are going to have to match up with the right partners, or you're just not going to be successful in life. You're just not going to be successful in life. And it's not about a man having 2, 3, 4, 5 women. It's about you being with the right woman. And then if after that you want to bring in another woman, that's fine. But you got to get the first one right. And if you can't get the first one right, then what are we doing here? Right? What are we doing?
You're just going to bring someone else into your chaos.
That's all you're gonna do. And then you're gonna, and I've seen a guy
Yeah.
I've seen two men have two wives.
Yeah.
Oh, actually three. Not because I'm counting in my head now. So I've seen three separate men in three separate states have two wives. On all three instances, they lost all those wives. They couldn't
I've
hold
seen
on
that.
to them.
Yeah.
They couldn't hold on to them. And the household was full of jealousy, anger, envy, hate, arguing, fighting. And this man could not focus on his purpose because it was always a distraction in the household. But these men, they couldn't get it. They couldn't figure it out. They weren't thinking on that level. And I've seen one man have three wives, and he was with those women. I'd say, shoot, he's still with them. So it's been over 15 years. Three wives over 15 years. What is it that this man is doing that the other three men were not? What is it? It's got something to do with
BDSM. Was it mind games?
well, they did BDSM. They did BDSM because they had an understanding that BDSM can be used in a way to heal someone. They weren't blocked because you see a lot of times what blocks us? Religion.
Yeah.
We're coming out of religion. Schools are blocking us. Your parents projecting their beliefs and their thoughts on you. All these different blockages, and you're like, oh, BDSM is bad, or BDSM is this. But have you even bothered to educate yourself? Did you know that hickey you got on your neck is part of BDSM? Did you know that ice that you put on your lover was part of BDSM? So you already participating in it. Did you know that your desire to have that sexy teacher or that good-looking preacher, those thoughts, that role play, that when you're in that bedroom with that woman, her wearing a costume or even you wearing a costume is part of BDSM? So for you to say that that's nasty, that's terrible, and I don't want to die, but psychologically you messed up. You're messed up emotionally, mentally, and you may need that type of role play to either build your confidence, right?
Yeah.
So that you could receive the power, or maybe you need to be broken down a little bit from that big ego that you have, right? Where you're thinking, oh, I got another notch on my belt. I got another woman. Oh, I got a notch on my belt.
Yeah.
I laid it down on her this way and that way. And then you're taking on all these different energies of all these sexual partners for nothing. There's nothing in it, and you're not getting anything from this. You're not producing anything from this, but maybe you might even have babies with 3 or 4 or 5 women. And then are you even really to have a relationship with any of those women, let alone a relationship with any of those babies?
Yeah, and then those children have different factions. Factional, one group of children don't like the other group of children.
That's another one. So you can't even unite your children because you can't even unite the women. So how powerful are you? Who is this guy? Elon Musk has multiple baby mothers, right?
Yes.
What's the black guy? I forgot his name. He's young.
Nick Cannon.
Nick Cannon has multiple baby mothers. So the question is, do these two men have a plan? Because we certainly know that they have money.
Yeah.
They certainly have a certain level of power. And so what are women attracted to? Money and power, but they also need to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, then you're just existing here.
Yeah, well, I think that it takes a certain mindset to be able to decipher what is a viable plan or not. To tell the difference between a plan and an empty dream.
Ooh. There you go.
And so, and actually that deals with the deity Heheru. Empty forms. You know how they call a man, sometimes a man an empty suit? Is that it looks all there, but there's nothing on the inside.
Yes.
And so sometimes someone can sell an empty dream or an empty dream because the dream is not cannot become reality because there's no reality to the vision, to the dream.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And when people and if a pimp can see that a woman's not living in reality, or anyone, okay, this is any type of salesperson. If you see this person not living in reality, you can sell them a delusion, and they'll buy it because you know that they're delusional already. And they will go for that delusion that you're selling them. That has no chance of coming into reality, but it might feel good pursuing it for a while. It might feel good. It feels good thinking about pursuing it. It feels good, like, ooh, when I get this, but it's not going to be. It's not really real. And so, how do we pursue? How are we able to pursue? How do we get out of having delusional thinking so that we can pursue real things that will benefit the community, that will benefit our children, that will benefit our grandchildren, and that's the type of dreams, those are the type of the visions I want to do, things that are going to benefit generations, benefit legacy, that's going to build community, those type of things. I don't need to be a superstar or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. To know that you want to build a better community. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I would say you'd have to know the difference between the dreams to know, okay, if someone is telling you their dream, before you move on with them with pursuing and growing and enhancing that dream, you'd have to say, okay, so how do you see this dream when it's actually in action? Right? So, okay, so you envision this happening or us being this way as a community. Okay, so along with you, this is the vision up here, and down here, this is the dream. So what are your steps to get up to that dream? What's your plan? This is what the woman needs to ask the man before she submits or surrenders her power to him. What are you surrendering to if this man has no plan, no desire other than just lay pipe? That's all. He just want to lay pipe. And you know what? If you want to lay pipe and you okay with that, then you go ahead and y'all just go ahead and lay pipe. Because while the other ones are deciding to build and connect and create, then that's going to be their plan. But if you just want to lay pipe and have him lay pipe, then y'all go ahead and lay pipe. Then that's what you want to do. But if you're looking for a man who's here with the plan, then you need to say, babe, what is your plan? What is your vision? How do you see this dream manifesting? And what steps are you going to take to reach that? And what role would I play in this? Because you want to know what role you play.
Yeah, I would say also to the lay pipe scenario, if that's what you choose, that's fine. But then don't switch up later on and be like, why is this man not doing this? Why is this man not helping me build? Why is this man not in the community? Why is this man not taking care of his children? Why do I gotta go to work? Why is he on the Xbox? Why can't you do this? Why can't you apply for a job?
Oh my God.
So that's something to also consider.
No, but you know why I'm laughing? Because I've heard that. It's like, why is he always on the Xbox? Why does he want to go to work? Why is he motivated to do anything or to create anything or to help support this household? I hear that a lot. That's crazy. That's crazy. And then at that point, he's a bad person. So, but you never went into the relationship. You never went into the connection to know what's this man's plan, what's his dream, and where do you fit in? Are you the right person to be in on this deal? Because the relationships and marriages are a contract. You're going into a deal. All right. So for men to say today in society, 2024, what are you bringing to the table? The question is, What are you bringing to the table in terms of your plan? If you don't have a plan, then I'm not bringing anything to the table, because he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he wants. He doesn't even know how to build or how to connect or how to create. And he's just going to use you and abuse you. And you have allowed that to happen. So you got to analyze some of these guys and check them out and figure out if it's a good fit for you. So, we want to recommend, we got 2 books here. So, Dom's Guide to BDSM. 49 must-known tips on how to be the perfect Dom master your submissive will truly respect and admire. Oh, did we even discuss respect, Pernil? Did we even discuss respect?
We didn't. No, we did not. But I would gather that a woman will respect a man if he has a plan.
There you go. There you go. And then the second book is Kink 101, Educational and Learning Guide for Beginners and Enthusiasts. Who's enthusiastic about this? So, respect. Interesting. Respect. Do you think respect is played here in this photo?
So the old me would say definitely not. The old me would be like, this is a because I was raised with certain sensibilities and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have seen this picture as a something of disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Interesting. I wonder how many men would like something like this. How many men you think would like to come home or walk into a place and have that done? And how do you think they would feel if they would the person standing up?
Well, see, this is the thing. So a lot of men have what we call the Madonna whore complex. So they might not want to see their wives do that for them because they put their wives on a pedestal. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, I don't want to quote degrade her or degrade. I love her. This is the same mouth that kisses my children. that type of
Yes.
Whereas hey, but all women, I would say, where most women have the need to be in that role at some level or another.
Right.
And
right.
But if you're taught through some forms of Christianity that this is bad, then you're like, ooh, I don't want my woman being like, I don't want my woman to be a slut. That she's a slut,
or a slave.
Or a slave or a whore, And so it's like, no, I want my woman to be the Virgin Mary, and I'll go out somewhere else and get that, because there's still always a desire for that, But unfortunately, we've had a lot of us men have had have been programmed to believe that is bad for a woman. Even so, we want it, but we believe it's bad, so we don't want our wives to be like that. So then our wives get hanged up because they want to be that, at least sometime. And then, but their husbands aren't going to give it to them, or their boyfriends that love them, love them, aren't doing that because they put them on a pedestal. So now that creates friction in the relationship. Now that woman's going to be looking for someone else to do that.
Yes, absolutely. I want to recommend the third book, BDSM Guide for New Doms, How to Be the Perfect Dom for the Sub, and a Beginner's Guide. So that's the third book. So all of these books, if you go online, all of these books are less than $10, I think. If you do the Kindle version,
yes.
I think the audio version is also, so I'd say somewhere between $10 and $15. They're very affordable. And I think it's good if we just learn to educate ourselves regarding this particular topic on a certain level, because you're already seeing it in rapper videos. You're already seeing it on TV. Your children are experiencing this and dreaming these things when they go to school, and you don't even know it. They're already doing little things that have to do with BDSM, and so are you. And it's levels to this game. So as soon as you begin to acknowledge it and to accept it, the more you be able to deal with that counterfeit personality. Because when you have a counterfeit personality, what does the word counterfeit mean? It's fake. It's not you. You're wearing a mask, right? So if you can figure out, okay, you have a counterfeit personality, you have a problem, something happened to you from when you were a child that screwed you up all the way up until you're an adult, so that you could heal and become that master who you are, right? That natal activation, that true DNA activation. Because you're wondering why some people are not activating, because they too busy being somebody who they're not. They too busy acting and already playing a role that they have no desire to play.
It's like a mask. It's like a mask that won't come off. They believe that mask is glued onto them. And so they have to learn how to put on a different mask. Because that's all it is, being able. Our DNA is really like, you can think of our DNA blueprint as a bunch of different masks. Hundreds and hundreds of masks we could put on for any particular situation or job that needs to be done. Mm-hmm. But the counterfeit persona says, as a child, this is your mask, and this is who you are. But really, the whole idea is, I am a player. I'm a player in this game of life. I can pick, choose, and this idea of, quote, unquote, keeping it, well, I'm faking it or whatever. No, you're being authentic when you're actually owning the fact that you can be different things, and that you're a multifaceted being. Mm-hmm. What's inauthentic is being stuck. What's inauthentic is playing a particular role, one particular role, because everyone expects you to be in that role because you've always been in that role. That's being inauthentic. Because you're more than that.
Yes, exactly, Amos. A professional imposter. A professional, and we get used to wearing these masks, and we think that we are these imposters. We create these personalities that is not our true character because we're afraid to show society and our families of who we really are. So to that extent, it is fear. And so if you're working with BDSM, you might need to get rid of some of that fear, right? What are you afraid of? You're afraid of all the stereotypes that you heard, right? But you're already participating in it and you don't even know. It's already everywhere around you, around your children, and you don't even know. So that's all we want to say, everybody. We just want to present to you and educate you in regards of that. Pranu, do you want to say anything in closing before we get off?
No, Joel, just that, hey, this has been a great experience doing the research to do this show, talking with elders, talking with people. We've talked with sex experts. We've talked with, people who have been experiencing BDSM. Mm-hmm. So it's really opened my eyes to the possibilities. This is just another healing toolkit, a tool for healing that you can put in your toolkit if utilized consciously and with the vision. Yes.
So definitely consider it. And remember what I said is levels to it. You don't have to be the one that's getting tortured to the extreme. That's a whole different level. But you could be the one that wants to play a certain role, or maybe you want to play certain games to allow yourself to release and handle this particular counterfeit personality that you have that's blocking you. It's blocking you from success. that could be blocking you from building your legacy, that could be blocking you from doing whatever your purpose may be here on earth, that will activate your DNA. And that's the goal. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Thank you for being with us this morning.
All
Excellent
right.
program today. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
This is great.
Glad you guys appreciate it. Thank you for being with us this morning. And so this was the goal, to assist and to guide everyone and provide some sort of information and structure on your sexual education. And I hope that this sex education was good for you. So utilize it and move forward. And this is part of your healing journey. This is absolutely part of your healing journey. So, you know, we have people who are also in religions who come out and they work with BDSM without the religious leaders or counterparts knowing that they're participating in this. How interesting do you think that is? From the level of a Catholic church, from the level of Muslims, from the level of Christians, if they coming out and doing it, then why haven't you even explored it?
Yes.
You know, and exploring it on the extent of healing, not taking advantage of the power that is presented to you. Definitely, that's not the goal. It's not to take advantage of the power that you receive. It's to take the power that you receive and become useful in utilizing that and building what you need to build and create what you need to create and heal the way you need to heal. That's what you want to do with the power.
That's right.
So thank you guys. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you. Have a beautiful rest of your Saturday.
Yes, thank you all. Thank you, Ms. Bliss, for bringing up this topic.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Bye, guys. Bye.